Yeah. Step in the ring. Gotta play my life on this arm. Yeah. Yeah. Where the spotlight sparks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Every finisher lands, every storyline arcs. From the ramp to the ropes, from the chance to the sparks. We live for the show. Hitting the marks. Rusev in the ring, it's a war zone start. Roman Reigns with the spear, leave a legacy mark. Kenny Omega with the V-trigger, cleaner than art. MJF talk slick, cut promos that scar. Okada with the rainmaker, money flows hard. Seth Rollins curb stomp, burn it down, no guard. John Mox with the paradigm shift, blood in the yard. Jay White with the blade runner, switchblade sharp. Bianca Belair, whip crack, hair snap charge. Will Ospreay with the hidden blade, aerial barrage. Claudio swinging bodies like a carnival park. Darby Allin directless, paint face dark. Saw the flare figure eight. Legacy arc, Hangman Page, buckshot, cowboy spark, ricochet flips insane, gravity disc bar, the young bucks, super kick party, double tap start. From AEW to WEROH to NJPW charts, every move, every feud, every pop from the marks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Every finisher lands, every storyline arcs. From the ramp to the ropes, from the chance to the sparks. We live for the show, hitting the marks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Every finisher lands, every storyline arcs. From the ramp to the ropes, from the chance to the sparks. We live for the show, hitting the marks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Spotlight sparks, spotlight sparks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Spotlight sparks, hitting the marks. I mean media.
It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. And you're listening to the Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast, powered by the Hameen Media Group, patreon.com/Hameen Media Group. And of course, presented by the HTM Podcast Network, patreon.com/Hitting the Marks. On this week's show, we're saying farewell to the new day. We're talking the Warner Brothers Paramount deal, WWE Rookie Years, and the return of John Cena again. Already. But before we dive in, it's my obligation to remind you this is a podcast by the fans for the fans, bringing you all the news that is news from across the professional wrestling world. Keep up with the show by searching Hitting the Marks on your favorite podcast listening device. My name is Dr. Michael Jargo, PhD, and of course I am joined by my favorite Huckleberry. He's the real RBV. Rick, welcome back to your show.
Not ready for the show. We are ready for the fiesta. Let's go, little Cinco de Mayo. I know the Jargo household, you guys were doing a little Taco Tuesday, Absolutely. I'm sure. But some people, you guys are those weirdo bunch. You do taco salads. You don't do the traditional up there. But hey, you know, I did learn today for my Cinco de Mayo, a virgin margarita is just sweet and sour mix. Terrible.
I could see that. I am getting to where I like doing fish street tacos on the grill.
Street tacos. What kind of fish?
Yeah, mahi, ideally. But yeah, today the weather sucks up here today. Is the weather suck down there today too?
We a little wet, a little wild. We are getting pounded. So I will say, if I do have an interaction, if you hear some cracking, that's not me beating my head against the wall talking about professional wrestling. That's the thunder in the background.
Well, before we talk about professional wrestling, let's talk about the Thunder, the playoffs. Huckleberry, of course, we used to do HTM Sports. That's a segue, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a transition, baby. That's like an Allison level crossover. That's
right,
a transition
right.
That'll snap you at your knees.
You watching the playoffs? Are you into the playoffs? Are you watching more NBA? You watching more NHL? Where are you at, man? Because I tell you what, it is absolute chaos in the TV world right now, trying to take care of NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs and Major League Baseball, and now the WNBA season is starting, and it's just like, dude, I just want to work from home on Tuesday night. Like I don't want to have to go into the station and deal with all these headaches of the news afterwards and talking to producers, and it's just terrible. I just want a nice quiet night, man.
You know, all right, from your perspective, one of the most hectic times of the year. I mean, it's like an accountant during tax season. But you really think about it, that mid-April now into May, hell, you know, from our neck of the woods, you got a little pro wrestling, you got NFL draft, you got baseball going on. But oh yeah, now it's as you said, WNBA, they're tipping off to the preseason, getting going for their highly anticipated regular season. But it's when it really matters here for the puck drops and on the hardwood there, the NBA, the NHL, getting after it. Man, you read my mind when you put this on the run, because I was actually going to throw it at you just shooting with you as we got going today to make that comparison, because man, I'm looking at this round, this conference semifinal of the NBA. If I'm the league, I'm ecstatic about these matchups. I mean, there is some good rivalries, a lot of fan interest I see across the board there. 3 of the 4, especially, I really, really like some good things there. But I was going to even ask you too about, what makes the Stanley Cup, that chase for Lord Stanley's Cup, so special, as we regularly hear that it is the greatest postseason tournament in all of sports. But
hands down.
What do you think separates that? What is it that gives hockey the edge there? Because I mean, it is a long season, 82 games, and it doesn't really draw that.
Same as the NBA. It's the same as the NBA. It's an 82 game season, right?
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing for the NHL where things change, we talk about it in basketball that, like a random Tuesday in December versus a playoff game, the intensity goes way up, the physicality goes way up. The NHL takes that to a whole next level when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Everybody plays faster. There's more shots. It's more purebred what we know as hockey. There's not as much time killing time around center ice, just passing the puck around. Everybody's trying to score, and they're trying to score every time they go down the ice. But there's also the mythology of it, right? There is a Stanley Cup. When you win the Stanley Cup, you get it for a year, and then you have to give it back because it goes to the next team. So you have all that heritage, you have all that history, you have the playoff beards. I mean, like, they take everything to that next level, that next degree, and they know nobody's watching this in, the middle of November. Nobody's watching in the middle of January. But once you put Stanley Cup playoffs on there, people know, oh, now it's time to start paying attention to hockey because it's about to get really, really good.
I love everything that you laid out there, especially with the history, the pageantry, the passion from the fan bases and all that. I think and again, it upstanding because now it is go time. This is where you got to leave it all out there on the ice. And where you look at the compare like basketball, we're used to the scoring up and down the floor each and time and out. We're accustomed to it. And when you look at something like football or baseball, which are great draws for their championship, but those are more like chess matches. It's ground and pound, strategy, wear somebody out. Where in hockey, you've got that intense speed, that up-tempo energy in every score that can happen at any moment is so important. It decides everything. And inside of that, and where it can happen at any moment, it's still so difficult to get the puck into that, across that crease.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what adds to it as well. Sadly enough, with hockey, people start tuning in a lot more for these playoffs. What hurts, I think them throughout that regular season is it doesn't transfer over so well for television viewing, and it's a hard sell there. And you also look at popularity around it. You go back to the 90s when we were kids in our teen years, and the NHL was on the cusp. It was looking who was going to move into that number one spot for American sports, because with baseball to strike and just, different scandals and all that. Jordan was gone. The NBA was on the cusp there with so many great players, but Jordan takes a step back. Football scene still is a little barbaric. It was making some strides there, but nowhere near the absolute juggernaut it is today. And hockey made a real run there. It was in consideration, but you look at what led it to that. Because one thing that's also hurt hockey is it's kind of difficult to just get the gang together and go play. And it's hard to find a rink in an area, or, we're not up in Canada, where there's frozen ponds everywhere, or the land of 1,000 lakes.
Equipment is so expensive. Like, just like if you're trying to buy your kid goalie equipment, my God.
Well, what happened in the 90s, which led it towards the popularity of hockey in the NHL, was the boom in street hockey. And I was real big into it, and my cousin and the neighborhood kids, and we started playing hockey with wiffle ball bats and a tennis ball. And then that evolved. My grandma and grandpa made sure that everyone was taken care of, went out and bought a bunch of sticks, and they bought goals, and and then everyone kind of invested in their inline skates. So you had that where you could taste the game a little bit. Back there in the 90s with the merchandise.
Just before you continue, I think that's one of the biggest reasons that we see the huge popularity in baseball in Latin America, because you literally need 2 sticks and a ball, and anybody can play it.
And that's where that popularity came up as America's game, up in like the Northeast, the streets of New York and all that. You played stickball. And that's what you needed, a little sand lot, a small area, or hell, just in between when the cars are coming down, mark off your bases, a stick and a ball, and a tennis ball, whatever it is, you're ready to go. But also with the hockey, man, in the 90s, Jargo, the merchandise was so good. I mean, started all that hockey merchandise was cool. I mean, it had the best designs. They had the best logos.
Still does.
And arguably, of the 90s, the best sports game was Electronic Arts Hockey. EA Hockey, NHL was awesome. And all that landed towards the popularity of the NHL. But then, just like we see in professional wrestling, we're going to be a little theme that we talk about through today. They think they're over. They want too much greed, and we go into a player strike. We go into arguments with distribution with television, and it killed all that momentum. But yeah, you are absolutely right when it comes to pro sports, just sports. Professional, championship tournaments, Lord Stanley Cup, that chase for the cup, absolutely amazing. And sadly, we kind of had what made March Madness so great, the magic of that, and having the different representation in the Cinderellas that these teams coming over and learning these players that you didn't hear about during the regular season and showing up on the big stage. But now, hey, they have announced their expansion, going to 76 teams. The NIL program is going to eliminate any Cinderella stories, as they're just going to buy up and any team program that starts getting momentum, those kids are going to be bought and taken to the big programs. So all that's gone. And again, thinking they're too over, and the greed for the just overall financials distribution once again is going to strike and hurt major sports.
The other thing that's hurting the NHL right now is the original 6, which anybody who's an NHL fan, you know who these teams are. They're the original 6 teams that started the NHL. They're all terrible. That certainly doesn't help. Like, the league is always going to be better when Chicago is good, when New York is good, when Los Angeles is good, when you have these major media markets that are involved. And that's what's helping the NBA right now. When you get the Knicks involved, you get the Lakers involved, and then you actually have good teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio and Minnesota, the teams that, people actually should be watching, but they don't watch unless they're playing the Lakers or the Knicks, or, if the Bulls could ever actually, figure out how to put a team together again.
Well, you talk about hockey there. I mean, how long has it been since a Canadian team has won the cup? And I think there's only one left in their playoff. But even outside of those big market draws for the Rangers, for the Blackhawks, and that in the States, hell, the last couple of years have been dominated by the southeastern part of the United States.
Specifically Florida,
the Carolinas. I mean, how does that scream hockey? But real quick on that NBA there, you threw out those matchups. There's some that I really like there. You've got a great blue-collar city rivalry. Even on the map, they're rivals in Detroit, in Cleveland. You talk about hardcore, passionate fans, in your face, New York, Philadelphia. What better out in the West to have the biggest draw in the NBA, the LA Lakers taking on the defending champs? And even San Antonio, Minnesota, that's a good little late start time.
Series. That's the series everybody should be watching. Those are the 2 teams that should be selling. No, I know it's not, but they're the 2 best teams that are still involved in this thing. It's ridiculous. I'm so over some of these teams. So you've got Thunder versus Lakers, which anybody who's listened to us for a while knows I used to be a Lakers fan. Then they went and brought in LeBron. I swore him off, haven't went back. I hate the Oklahoma City Thunder for so many reasons that I can't begin to name. Number one being, for some reason, these networks seem to think that a game in the middle of December should go for 2.5 hours. And they seem to think that a playoff game should also go for 2.5 hours. You watch the Oklahoma City Thunder, you're watching Shea Gilchrist-Alexander shoot free throws for at least 2 of those 2.5 hours, and the game ends up going for 4 freaking hours because he's the free throw merchant. Like, when you think back, we had some really cool guys, right? Like, you had Magic Johnson, Michael Air Jordan, like all these super cool nicknames. They call him the free throw merchant. That's literally his nickname, the free throw merchant. He knows how to draw contact and attempt like he's throwing up a shot just so he can go shoot free throws. I hate watching Oklahoma City. I hate watching the LA Lakers. You got Timberwolves Spurs, which is actually very, very exciting. I very much enjoy that series. Then you have Pistons Cavaliers, which outside of Michigan and Ohio, nobody cares about. And then you've got the two loudmouths with the Knicks and the freaking 76ers.
I just want a side cam that just shows the arena. I want to see the fights between those fans because they will travel on. A big issue though with the NBA.
Knicks are going to destroy them. Just destroy them.
And you make that comparison. I think Knicks at 4-2 there, but hey, the Knicks faltered.
They didn't
look good against the Hawks either. Although that closing game, they looked magnificent. It was like their biggest. At the time, it was their biggest win. Then they go out and put down Philadelphia.
They scored like 1,000 points.
Yes, NBA jams. But as you kind of mentioned, you go back to other generations. When we came up, the league was loaded. Every team had at least one household name that you could go through. And now with the style of play and all that, the league has really moved away. Almost like WWE is like shied away from individual stars where they just rely on their own acronym. That you don't have the true mega stars or the amount of them that you did back in the day, even like the Kobe years, the early 2000s and things like that.
And when you do actually have a star, they don't play. I'd like, it just blows my mind. Like Jason Tatum, who plays for the hated Boston Celtics. Yeah, I'm not a Lakers fan anymore, but I still hate Boston. Their best player coming back from an ACL injury, I understand that, probably came back a little too soon. Could you imagine Michael Jordan sitting out a Game 7 because his ankle hurt? Could you imagine Kobe Bryant being like, nope, I'm not playing in Game 7. My ankle hurts. Come on.
Could you imagine being a Kevin Garnett right? Kevin, yeah. Or no, KD that just sat out.
Kevin Durant. You bet.
Correct. Could you imagine doing that, sitting out and being a teammate of somebody like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant? They're going to drag your ass out there. If you're going to contribute to this team and they need you to get to that next round, you're damn well. That could be your last stand. That could be Custard's last stand for you, but your ass is out there playing.
That's one of the things that, Tyrese Halliburton gets a lot of smack for playing in Game 7 of the NBA Finals last year and tearing his ACL. But it's like, dude, it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. What did you think was going to happen? Of course. Let's talk about a few other guys who are going to be sitting on the sidelines for a while. Huckleberry, it is time to say farewell to the New Day. I wondered what was going on a couple of weeks ago when Grayson Waller faced off with Obafemi, and he came out to his music, and he had on the kangaroo tights, and it was like, wait, where's Kofi at? And where's the black tights and the New Day music? And evidently, the New Day have been moved to the alumni section and are no longer with WWE. I saw Austin Creed, Xavier Woods, Paige's third, whatever you want to call the guy, put up a very long message thanking the company and everybody that's been involved for the last 16 years and the run that he has had. Haven't heard anything from Kofi.
Kofi's put it out there as well. He's done. He's addressed everybody, and I think in Mr. Creed put his message out there. Kofi had a very powerful statement inside of his, and just encouraging people to do not allow people to never undervalue. Don't take less than your value is. It's essentially what he said. I'm trying to paraphrase what he had. So he put it out there that they felt kind of slighted. And I think real quick, Jargo, everybody, maybe not everyone knows the ins and outs of the thing because we've got these different departures. So this wasn't necessarily a cut. This was TKO WWE coming to the New Day members and saying, we would like to restructure and we would like you to take less money. Now, I'd like to remind everyone else that it was just a year ago that they signed new 5-year deals. So they came back and said, we need to restructure with you. We need to revisit our return on investment, what you're giving for us. They threw a number out there. Kofi and Wood said, you know what? Maybe this is just best that we part ways amicably. You guys have a great thing going on. We are going to take our futures in our hands and do our best in our own future endeavors.
What do those future endeavors include? Like, do you think that they end up in AEW? Do we see Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods show up, whether it be in AEW, ROH, MLW? Do they do a run in New Japan? What does the New Day do at this point?
First and foremost, let me say, I think they have tremendous potential outside of the squared circle. I think they're both highly engaging, entertaining, charismatic, tremendous
Especially
energy.
Creed with up, down, down. I mean,
well, he has that potential. So let's look at Kofi first. Athletically entertaining, one of the true standouts of his generation, a game changer in that sense. You look at his top accomplishment inside of the squared circle, he had grown men weeping, literally tears, because of the accomplishment when he was the one that represented a culture that was able to break through, shatter that glass ceiling, and capture the WWE, not the side title, the WWE Championship, and what that meant for African Americans. Such an amazing moment right there. For Xavier Woods, he is a charisma machine. He oozing machismo out there. Tremendous crossover appeal, especially what he's shown into the gaming world, which is a direct tie into a same audience that watches professional wrestling. And yeah, for us ultra marks, for us totally inside of that bubble, us total nerds, the dude is an absolute legend when it comes to snatch smashing. He's on another level. So, I mean, these guys have a lot going for them. I think this is a huge mistake for TKO WWE and one that they might regret later. To me, okay, I get what they're looking at. We're looking at the figures out here, our return on investment. Right now, all that New Day has been doing is filler spots, essentially filler spots, while for premium Netflix subscribers. So when you don't see a commercial or you're in the arena, you'll see a quick spot, an info thing where they're trying to sell it, or, you know, just to pop you with their recent kind of dark persona on that. But when I'm looking at their resumes, what they can contribute to my product, I'm not mad at the talents. I'm getting on management and creative to get them out there. We were talking about sports just a moment ago. If I've got two wide receivers that go out there that are game changers, I'm not, and we're running the ball, I'm not trying to trade them off. I'm telling my team to spread the ball, get the offense moving through my playmakers. That's my issue with that. I think they got great potential if they want to do something in Hollywood. Obviously, it's easy bucks to go work conventions and all that, but I think it's really easy for us in the bubble to think that they need to stay in the bubble. Obviously, AEW, I think for All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan, they would be an amazing grab. I'll throw this out there for you real quick, Jar, before you jump in on it. Friday, July 31st is their 90 days. That's 1 month of London All In. To me, a no-brainer. Get them signed. Get them against the Bucks at that big stadium show.
This is an interesting one to me. RX Juegos 7961 over here in the chat. New Day, TNA Wrestling. I don't know about New Day to TNA Wrestling, but Austin Creed has a history in TNA Wrestling, and I think Austin Creed on that TNA roster right now could have some bangers.
I think, you know, they keep, you know, they want that bigger audience. Well, hopefully that bigger audience with AEW, we're going to talk about. And real quick up there was another, I think it was Lab Rat that had mentioned there is word out there that TKO WWE has made a new offer to Xavier Woods to bring him in under one of your old dudes, Prince Pretty deal. They call it the Prince Pretty deal, where he would assist with video game development, some other things of that nature, then, you know, maybe some training spots at the Performance Center. I think these guys, again, I hope they could step away from it and could find their own success. When you talk about people that have left, created their own path, elevated themselves, I think absolutely these guys can do it.
Two other guys that have been moved to the alumni section. One of them I just think is absolutely hilarious, and that is Tangaloa, mostly because Camacho is already in the alumni section, so he is now listed twice. And the former Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo, evidently has been moved over to the alumni section. The JC Mateo one kind of surprises me. I feel like they really dropped the ball with Jeff Cobb. Even like just affiliating him with MFT, I thought was a total ball drop. They should have put him on a different show and just went with Jeff Cobb, Olympic wrestler, and done all kinds of different things with him. But little surprised to see Tangaloa and JC Mateo being pushed away this easily, but it also makes me like, so we're going to get rid of those two, but we're going to keep Tamatonga and Hikaleo, whatever the hell stupid name they call him now.
Tala.
He's just like the other one, but he's taller.
He makes sense because he does have that menacing monster presence, and Solo kind of needs that muscle with him. It'd be interesting, where they go elsewhere. Yeah, I told Bid yesterday to go pitch this Mr. Russo for Juggalo Championship Wrestling to bring Leo and Cobb in and have them suffering from PTSD, where like they see the white face paint and they're freaking out like they can't handle it. Or they despise that face paint so much that they team up with Big Vito to just want to go out and smash Juggalos because it's all relatable.
I like it. Little surprised to see those, but not terribly. They weren't being used in appropriate ways.
Here's because we also got some other rumors here with asking about these talents to take pay cuts. Mm-hmm. There's a rumor floating around that someone that's getting it's a significant push, but we really don't know what that means in the context that they're on television, was asked to take up to a 50% pay cut, and they agreed to it. So they might be asking for some major pay cuts here. Usually in the past when we've seen this, we'll see someone cut and we're kind of like, oh man, I forgot that they were even there. We haven't seen them in so long. You go through this last round of cuts, top to bottom. What's kind of scary about this time, a lot of them were featured on television. The entire Wyatt Six, all of these My Family Tree members, Aleister Black and Zelina. They even brought Apollo Crews back for a couple of weeks there prior to WrestleMania and some tag matches. So it's almost as if getting the call to television might be cursed kind of call from the cut line.
The thing that kind of surprised me, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, it seemed logical to me that Jacob Fatu is going to lose to Roman Reigns at Backlash, and then he was going to take over MFT from Solo. That it seemed to me like that's where the storyline was going, but we'll talk about that here a little bit later. First things first. I think it's that time if I can actually, find the right screen.
When the crowd noise fades and the spotlight grows, there's a voice in the silence that everybody knows. Settle in, lean close, let the story unfold. This is the monologue where the truth gets told.
Yep, still waiting for that video. Let's get into it, because this week exposed something that's been bubbling under the surface and under my skin for years. Wrestling fans are arguing two completely different sports, and nothing proves it more than the 1-2 punch of the Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount merger and the WWE Netflix deal. Two stories that instantly separated the people who understand the business of wrestling from the people who only understand wrestling. The second these stories hit the trades, you can immediately tell who lives in the macro world and who is just yelling aimlessly into the void. Let's start with the micro fans, the week-to-week observees, the drones, the sickos, the marks. These are the people who think that a bad Dynamite rating means that AEW is getting evicted from TBS tomorrow morning. These are the people who think that WWE's Netflix deal happened because of momentum or creative being hot. These are the people that treat quarter hours like they're reading tea leaves. They're grading wrestling like it's a high school project. They're convinced that if a match goes 12 minutes instead of 9, it's going to tank $1 billion rights negotiation. They're arguing about whether a heel turn landed when a billion-dollar corporation is redrawing the map behind their backs. Meanwhile, in the macro world where I live, the networks, the investors, the boardrooms, the people who actually sign checks are looking at wrestling through one lens and one lens only. Does this property deliver consistent, predictable, monetizable attention across multiple platforms for the next 5 to 10 years? That's it. That's the whole game. The macro view doesn't give a shit about your favorite wrestler's push. It doesn't care about your fantasy booking. It doesn't care that a segment dropped 3% in the 18 to 49 demo. The macro view cares about hours, habits, and leverage. And that's why the Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount merger is the biggest wrestling story of the year, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. Because if that merger goes through, you suddenly have TNT, TBS, and CBS under one roof, a combined streaming platform that desperately needs live anchors, a massive content library, and the corporate structure that has to decide what properties survive and which ones get quietly sent off into the sunset. This is where the micro fans completely lose the plot. You're arguing about a promo being too long. Meanwhile, the macro world is saying, does AEW help build a unified streaming platform that can compete with Netflix, Amazon, and Disney? Does WWE's Netflix deal force us to double down on live sports-adjacent programming? Do we need more wrestling? Do we need less wrestling? Or do we need a different kind of wrestling altogether in order to stabilize our portfolio? And speaking of Netflix, let's talk about the deal that blew the doors off the entire industry. Because the second WWE and Netflix was announced, the divide between the micro and the macro became a canyon. Micro fans are out here debating whether Raw would feel different on Netflix. They were fantasy booking the intro sequence, talking about production tweaks. Meanwhile, the macro world is staring at the number. The actual number, realizing WWE just reset the entire rights fee ecosystem. Netflix didn't buy Raw because of creative, Netflix didn't buy Raw because of momentum, and Netflix didn't buy Raw because of star ratings or quarter hours. Netflix bought Raw because it's live, it's habit forming, it's predictable, it's cheap relative to scripted content, and capable of delivering weekly subscriber retention in a streaming world where the retention is the new holy grail. Netflix didn't buy a wrestling show. They bought a unicorn. They bought a cheat code. They bought 3 guaranteed hours of live content every week, 52 weeks a year, with no strikes, with no shutdowns, no ballooning budgets, and no diva actors, other than Roman Reigns, demanding $2 million an episode. And here's the part that the micro fans still don't understand. The Netflix deal didn't just help WWE. It raised the floor for everybody. Because once the biggest streamer on the planet decides wrestling is worth that kind of money, every other platform has to reevaluate their strategy. Amazon, Apple, Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, and yes, even Paramount. They all suddenly have to ask themselves, do we need a wrestling property to stay competitive? That's the macro view. And that's why AEW's negotiations matter more than ever. It's why the Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount merger is a nuclear level story. And it's why the rights cycle going from now until 2030 is a knife fight. Because Netflix didn't just buy Raw. They validated wrestling as premium live event content. Not niche, not guilty pleasure, not a cheap alternative, a legitimate anchor for a global platform. WWE didn't just hit a home run, they changed the stadium, they changed the rules, they changed the scoreboard, and they forced every other player in the game to either level up or get the fuck out. So when fans try to talk about TV deals like they're talking about match ratings, it's laughable to me. The macro world is playing chess while the micro world is arguing about checkers. Television distribution deals are not about creative. They're all about economics. They're about who can deliver live, habitual, cost-efficient viewership. A 3-hour wrestling show costs less than a single episode of any prestige drama, and it airs every week. No shutdowns. No $20 million per episode budget, Law and Order. That's why networks love wrestling. That's why the streaming platforms love wrestling. That's why mergers like Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount matter more than any storyline, because the macro world isn't thinking about Wednesday night. They're talking about the next 5 years of subscriber retention. So here's the shoot. Wrestling fans are some of the smartest, most passionate people in entertainment, but they're also incredibly myopic. They're arguing about frosting the cake while it's being baked in the other room. The micro fans keep the culture alive. The macro view keeps the business alive. But the gap between them is getting wider every year. And every time one of these mergers happens, it's like the gap just goes all the way open. So this week, the real story isn't about who had the better show. It's who understands the business that they're watching, who's still arguing about star ratings while billion-dollar corporations redraw the map behind their back. So I will give you a piece of advice that was given to me when we started hitting the marks from the Ayatollah himself, Bin Hameen. Never miss a good opportunity to shut the fuck up, especially when it's a subject that you clearly know absolutely nothing about. So that's the monologue. Huckleberry, what do you think?
You know that we got that saying in pro wrestling that controversy creates cash. When it comes to television, when it comes to distribution, content is king. And the king of kings, especially in how we consume our television, those types of products this day, the king of kings is live must see. You talk about setting a standard, raising the bar. You see that as we opened up talking about sports, and the king of kings inside of that world is the NFL, because they have created a product that if you don't understand it, it has become a cultural phenom. It is where you need to be. And you look at what it draws in rights fees. You look at the viewership that it pulls in. And as the networks are putting these together, they realize that importance is a staple for that. And ultimately, as you spread out at bottom dollar, what is the value of that in your networking for your advertising to pull in those types of revenues? What kind of businesses want to associate with that? That's why these networks are paying top dollars for a multitude of sports. So when you get something like it's cheap and easy like pro wrestling, if we can double down a handful of times to get more of that content available, yes, they're not worried about the pettiness back and forth between what fans think about the promotions itself. They are clueless, could care less about that. It is content that they can sell on their platforms. Very, very simple. Very basic and simple to put it in layman's terms. So put it out there as simple as possible.
So what is the status of AEW as they go into this new negotiation? So the big story that everybody's talking about, Warner Brothers Discovery did not renew AEW. Of course not. Of course they didn't. They can't, because they know they're not going to own the company by the time the new deal kicks in. That's what everybody's missing. The negotiation has to be between AEW and Paramount. Now, granted, there is a lot of red tape there. There's a lot of politics that takes place, especially with UFC being on Paramount and TKO owning UFC and TKO owning WWE. Yeah, there's all that. But I keep hearing this, oh, well, they can just put AEW on YouTube. What good is that going to do other than you can watch the show? How are they supposed to make money from that? Like, that's the death of a company.
Well, and here's the thing with that. I think, as a safety net and Tony Khan, TK, wanting to appease his fans, to keep them satisfied so they're not worried about it. I think that, that's an answer for him. But he knows damn well, absolutely, he's got to secure a solid foundation for distribution. If you're AEW, what you do right now is you follow a blueprint for professional wrestling that has been already laid out for you by the WWE, by TKO. And that is to show an absolute home run on return on investment. And that's looking at diversifying your profile, your production, what you can provide. When they went to Netflix, TKO did, they went in there and pitched a number of ideas representing their clients across the board there, and then different products like an Unreal, the Hulk Hogan, Real American thing. I know you're not a big fan of that one, Jarko, but pulling monster numbers over there. So when you're offering more on the menu for that distribution platform at a low production rate, now you've upped your return on investment, your bottom dollar, your worth to whoever's going to pick you up.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I think Dan makes a great point here in the chat. I think it's fine to be a micro fan as long as you aren't arguing about the business. As a fan, I would rather discuss, what's on the show and what I liked and what I didn't like. That's great. You're not the person that I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like, I don't know, Dave Meltzer, who thinks that he understands how the TV business works. And it's just like, just shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. This is like so far over your head. And Meltzer's a smart guy. He's been covering this business for 40 years. The problem is he doesn't understand the TV business. And especially as rapidly as it's changing, as somebody who works in TV, it's infuriating to me. It's just absolutely infuriating. But
So from your standpoint, from some of that, that insider having that firsthand knowledge, seeing the absolutes ins and outs of that thing, if you're Tony Khan right now, you're All Elite Wrestling, Jargo, what is your game plan? What is your approach? How much pressure, how much heat are you feeling knowing that you might not have a proper distribution outlet coming in the near future?
Well, and that's the problem, because the more that we see these mergers, the less options that there actually are. And that, to me, is the larger problem that's facing pro wrestling right now. I do think Paramount is a viable option. And I understand TKO is already in bed with them, but you know what is not airing on any Paramount-owned networks? WWE. And I think that they're seeing the unpredictability of UFC. Okay. And I say that in that one of the biggest complaints that I have heard about UFC on Paramount is the cards are not that good. And that's because, much like boxing many, many years ago, they do not have to put on big fights in order to make money anymore, because they're getting so much money from these distribution channels. And so you're ending up with bad shows, with bad fights that go to decisions, and people are just like, this sucks. I don't want to watch it, right? The advantage that pro wrestling has over UFC is its scripted content. And you are going to have that 1.5 to 2 million people that are going to tune in every week to watch this show. In AEW's case, 600,000 to 800,000. But that's still 800,000 people that are going to go to your app every week to watch this show. And guess what? When they go to that app, they also see, oh, Dexter's on here. Oh, this show's on here. Oh, this show's on here. And suddenly you have somebody that's going into Paramount Plus more than on Wednesday nights. That's what these companies are looking for. That's the advantage that Raw is brought to Netflix. So you're getting that 2 million people globally that's signing in. And when you sign in, you know what you don't see at the very, very top of the page when you sign in? Raw. You see whatever the newest, latest, greatest thing might be that might be somehow remotely, oh, people that watch Raw are watching this show. Oh, I heard about that show. Let's check that out.
Well, let me play a little devil advocate here with you, because we talk about the separation of the business aspect, what the networks of distribution, the streaming services are looking at here. But again, I'm going to go back with who is king. Who is crushing it when it comes to these deals, and who is bringing the ratings? And it is the NFL. So everybody should mimic that blueprint. Well, in many ways, the NFL has mimicked pro wrestling, because it isn't just simply about the 60-minute gameplay on the gridiron. They have intentionally gone out of their way to create characters with their stars that their audiences connect to. There is a reason that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to double, triple draw anyone else, because we're not necessarily tuning in for the football. We're tuning in to cheer against Patrick Mahomes and his crew. The same with Tom Brady. So in professional wrestling, you have that ability, but they refuse to do that across the board where we don't see those mega stars. I mean, look at Hulk Hogan, for better or worse, what that is drawing there. So when we had those guys that could cross over, that were recognizable, that connected with, you want to be a part of it. Now you've got a connection with that must-see television. So it does all tie in a little bit. I like you talked about, TKO have that partnership with Paramount. And obviously they want to be the only dog on that block that they run. It's their company. So they would negatively go in there and be like, hey, don't do any business with them. But then Paramount could throw back and say, hey, if you want to continue making that top dollar from us, we're going to need your wrestling company over here, which could free up other opportunities for AEW to jump in and say, hey, you need somebody to replace this WWE programming? We've got you.
And that's the thing that I think is being lost here, is people just assume because TKO is in bed with Paramount that Paramount is going to bend to the will of TKO. Well, UFC is not doing great on Paramount.
And Paramount's the one handing out the money. They're signing the check. It's not the other way around.
Exactly. And if TKO does go in there and try to whip out the big dick, Paramount's going to come back and be like, hey, your wrestling product is on our direct competitors. You do business with NBC. You do business with Netflix. Like, we need that anchor for this platform. And if you don't like that, we're going to bring in AEW, then, we'll just take away your $1 billion. How do you feel about that? Suddenly you don't have a problem there. Okay.
If you're Tony Khan is...
No, they do not, Frankie. That's another one that pisses me off. They have these clauses in the contract. Bullshit. Read the contract. There's nothing in there that says they can't put AEW on Paramount.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's ridiculous.
If you're Tony Khan, Jargo, what is your pitch? Who are you going at? I mean, what makes your product valuable for a payday, for a partnership?
Well, and that's the question. Is it? Because at this point, I'm not entirely sure that it is. I am not entirely sure that AEW is going to get a big TV rights deal. I think the shows have been good. I think AEW as an entire product has been better than WWE over the course of 2026.
For a wrestling fan, yes. But yes. They have not grown an audience in many years.
Not increased the ratings. They do not cater to casual fans. In fact, they go the exact opposite way, and they say, we don't want casual fans. We want the sickos.
They haven't reached with the marketing. They don't have that reach at all. They don't touch the number of fans. You said they have outwardly said, we don't want the masses. We are a niche audience. Those are the types of statements, the mindset that sound great to that hardcore wrestling fan, but you are biting yourself in the ass. One thing that AEW is going to hurt them in the long run that WWE does so massively, you're not working for your current contract, you're working for your next one. And that's the mindset that has hurt them. And I think that's going to be their true struggle is when they go out and show this product and their highlights are syringe needles going through somebody's head and everything's a bloodbath. And what sponsors have you worked with? And you have a very short list and you're showing them ratings growth. That's not going to look good.
But there is one big advantage that AEW has. And this is why I think the Paramount deal actually makes a ton of sense. Rick, who has the AFC games for the NFL?
Most part CBS.
And CBS is owned by who? Paramount. So maybe they want to cater to, I don't know, an NFL owner who could, I don't know, hypothetically block an NFL contract for CBS?
Could you get, all right, maybe we're to put the conspiracy hats on here a little too much, but when the NFL goes to negotiate with certain distribution platforms or their TV deals, they select a handful of owners to head up that committee. For many, many years, Mr. Kraft up there in New England was instrumental in getting those blockbuster deals done for the entire NFL. So if you're AEW, you could play the chess game and have Shad get representation to go deal way over the heads of anybody in UFC and WWE and go directly to the biggest player in the game representing the NFL. Hey, while we're getting this NFL deal done, let me tell you about my other product. That could have plenty of tie-ins, and we'll cross promote. Now, I think it's laughable. I don't know if you got to see these yet. It's pretty much
the terrible lucha masks,
underwear with an NFL logo that you wear on your head. I mean, those had so much potential, Now, even again, you've got a family that owns an NFL team that has direct ties, and again, TKO WWE has a better working partnership with the whole league with those beautiful belts, and they're at the draft. You had. Who was the guy from AEW? I think there was somebody that did read a draft pick from AEW, but the most talked about one was Britt Baker, simply because we haven't seen her on your television. They happened to catch her in the audience.
Swerve read a draft.
Swerve did a draft pick, but outside of that, you had a number of NFL guys. All of those guys that got drafted got a replica WWE belt of the team that they went to. Those are the kinds of ties that you want, and you're putting in that extra work. That is easy marketing PR that has continued since their creation to fly over the head of Tony Khan and AEW. And it's where they truly get left behind. And it goes back to your point, Jargo. This business, surviving in this business has nothing to do with your bell-to-bell, your movesets, and your rope work. Get that the hell out of here. That's why the territories died. Vince crushed them because of it. And it's why TKO is thriving right now, because they have made that all back burner. I argue with indie promoters about this all the time that think wrestling is over and they don't understand how to connect with their community and sell an entertainment product.
Well, and that should be Vince McMahon's legacy. Like the positioning that Vince McMahon put the company in, especially with nationwide syndication and television distribution, that to me is his legacy. When you look at Vince McMahon's creative over the course of his run with the company, it's shit. Even when it was good, it was shit. You go back and watch the Attitude Era, there is so much of that show that is just absolutely unwatchable. You go back to the 80s and rock and wrestling, yeah, you had the Hogan stuff on top, you had the Macho Man stuff on top, but you look at the rest of that card and it's just awful creative.
It was easier to look at society and realize, create somebody that they can connect with and give them a simple story to go out there. We have a much more complex and dissecting audience now that exists. You know, I've been having these conversations regularly. Does our society today hate heroes because it's so hard to create some? And God love Cody Rhodes for trying to be that, but now he's so split, and you can't decide. If you ask 10 people today what a hero is to define it, you're probably going to get 10 different answers with it.
Yeah.
So on the distribution here, Tony had talked about maybe a short-term home. He's ready to pivot to YouTube. You might have this available. You might have this available. What kind of actual financials?
Trash. Absolute trash. I mean, unless you can sign a deal with Google and YouTube TV, which is a very real possibility. They are trying to get more into the streaming to compete with companies like Paramount, Netflix, Disney, Amazon. They want to turn YouTube TV into an actual streaming platform rather than a cable distribution channel. That is Google's kind of end game here. I think some of the most interesting options to me is you do have Triller.
I was just going. No, I think I'm not. I don't want to dismiss what Frank's asking. I was actually going to ask you, what if you could maybe work out a deal, get into bed with a handful of those small free distributions. The Tubies,
yeah, but if you got in with Triller, with Tubi, with Pluto, with YouTube, I'm trying to think of some of the other small distribution channels like that. If you got like 10 of them together, you might make as much money as you're making from Warner Brothers Discovery right now.
Okay, but I think it's fair.
Evolve is on those kind of stations and not NXT.
Well, in that Triller, to my understanding, and that is kind of a wrestling hub. There's a ton of it there. It's a great destination for the wrestling fan, but it's not going to produce
It's not
the revenue or, bring in that extra revenue for AEW. So let me get another big picture question here with it. So without that distribution deal, well, we know they have all the money in the world, but it's business sense as well. Pops is going to eventually say, cut off the spending here. So one, you could potentially lose all those big bucks from distribution. WWE is also changing the curve in payment. Eventually AEW is going to have to follow suit and stop with these massive over-the-top deals a lot of times just to let people sit at home. The top of the market dictates where the rest of it falls.
Absolutely. And if you look, AEW has like 225 wrestlers under contract currently. I looked at WWE's though the other day. They have over 400 people under contract right now.
There's some things that are a little misconceiving about that as well, because not everybody in AEW is a guaranteed contract. A lot of those are a pay per appearance. And like with WWE, a lot of them are making very little on it.
And like, I'm not trying to rip on you here, fantastic, but Maple Leaf Pro, they got popular on YouTube, got a TV deal. That's not the same thing. That's not losing your TV deal, being forced to go to YouTube so that you can let people know that the product is still there, and then getting another TV deal here in the current TV climate inside of the United States. I understand what you're saying, but you're looking at apples to oranges at this point.
It is. It's kind of, to make a comparison with it, I kind of read it there as a Canadian TV deal. What is the value? What is the distribution? How many potential viewers do they have in front of them? What kind of advertising partnership does that open up? I mean, it's kind of like comparing like AA, AAA baseball to Major League Baseball deals.
And the other big thing that nobody is talking about that they should be talking about is all these TV deals, the actual terrestrial TV deals, are going to be in real jeopardy potentially over the course of the next 2 years if Bobby Kennedy Jr. has it his way. Because there are two countries in the entire world that allow pharmaceutical advertising on television. One of them is the United States, and the other one is New Zealand. That's it. Those are the only two countries in the world that allow pharmaceutical advertising. Guess what Bobby the K wants to get done? He wants to get rid of pharmaceutical advertising in the United States. And if that happens, you're going to see ad revenue go into the toilet for all of these terrestrial TV networks. And that is going to seriously influence how much money they can pay out in rights fees. Because sit down and watch an episode of NXT on the CW and tell me how much pharmaceutical advertising you see. Even if it's TNA over on A&E or whatever the hell channel they're on these days. AMC maybe?
Yeah.
But the amount of pharmaceutical advertising and the amount of revenue generated by pharmaceutical advertising in the United States is absurd. And if that goes away, that's going to change things greatly. And it actually may benefit pro wrestling, because the first thing that's going to get cut is going to be these massive TV dramas that are getting $20 million an episode. Those are going to be the first ones to go, and they're going to be looking for cheap outlets like professional wrestling.
I mean, you really think about it, we all can kind of relate to that. Just watch the next... When we get done with us tonight, tune in to whatever channel you're watching and just take a count for an hour. It is absolutely insane. They're just inventing diseases and disorders just so they can get advertising out there.
And half of the commercials are just the side effects from taking the medication. Oh my God.
I think I talked about this a little bit last week, but with my autoimmune issues, man, which are very real to me, but they gave me a list, and it's literally a page long of side effect stuff. So yeah, that stuff is very real. So I've been going through, I mentioned to you last week, I had a headache from taking this stuff. I take a oral steroid, and I blacked out on the whole. I went on cruise control, made it through. It was actually a pretty damn good show, but yeah, the side effects are real on this, man. So
yeah, it's absurd.
We are the test market out here.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. A couple other options, just real quick, as we're approaching the hour mark of the show already. My AEW. This is why AEW launched their streaming service so soon, and it was too soon. But and I'm with you, Rick. I when this was brought up to me, and I went. But here's the thing. They do not cater to casual fans. They do not want casual fans. They want the sickos. And the sickos are going to pay for that app if that's the only way that you can watch my AEW. What I don't understand is why they created my AEW to begin with and didn't just use Honor Club, which was perfect. Like Sinclair went through and hammered out all the bugs when
I know,
Honor
but wasn't
Club
that,
launched.
did that have to do more with international jargon with something like that? Or
well, for now, if they lose their TV deal, you think it's going to stay international?
I mean, that's why they established that. And I think they wanted a better ground base to get in on infrastructure in other areas besides going with the Honor Club, and which is admittedly a dead brand to them. You know, who's going back to that Honor Club?
That infrastructure that was built, like the way Honor Club functioned, was right up there with WWE Network. My God, I miss WWE Network.
It took a while. You and I were early Honor Club members. I remember the frustrations we had.
Yeah. I think that's all I got on the TV rights stuff, at least for right now, because sure
we keep talking about that. I mean, that's we'll come back and revisit. We'll keep our eye on that.
I'm sure that will be revisited. And this is not a done deal in any way, shape, or form. Right now, inside of the media landscape, and you're seeing it a lot at the more local level where local stations are being bought and sold constantly. There's a huge deal that is currently in the works between Nexstar Broadcasting and Tegna Broadcasting. The FCC should absolutely say, no, you cannot do that. When it comes to this Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery deal, the FCC should come out and say, no, you can't do that. And that's all it would take. All it would take is anybody from Paramount or from Warner Brothers Discovery to say one bad thing about Donald Trump, and this thing's in the toilet because Trump will have the FCC block it because he's that petty.
Maybe that's the fix. Tony's just got to get a lobbyist to do the right work for him up there in DC, and he'd save his product.
Yeah, just because this has been proposed does not mean that this is official in any way, shape, or form. Let's talk a little bit of professional wrestling on the Pro Wrestling Show.
This is the worst part of the show.
It is. Well, yeah, but this is actually
I'm joking.
This is actually kind of fun. I want to, and we're going to kind of start tracking this, and we'll probably bring this up every 2-3 weeks or so. I just want to look at the quote unquote rookies. And when I say rookies, I mean guys that just got to the WWE main roster. So I am counting guys like Royce Keys. I'm counting guys like Joe Hendry, Ethan Page, Ricky Saints that have been around forever, but they are still technically rookies inside of the WWE Raw SmackDown landscape. And we got to start with Danhausen. We're going to talk a bit more Danhausen as we get into Backlash here and what he's got coming up. I've heard some people starting to say, I think this Danhausen thing is starting to jump the shark. And I told the wife the other day, I was like, at some point, somebody's got to get one up on Danhausen. He can't keep going out there and cursing everybody and having everything go his way. Something's got to go terribly wrong for Danhausen, and it needs to happen soon. Sure enough, Friday night on SmackDown, things went bad for Danhausen. How are you feeling about Danhausen? Are you still loving that Danhausen?
I am still loving the Danhausen. I will agree a little bit here because I've had great conversations with Ben about this. His mind coming from the stage and knowing how to lay these things out. And again, WWE trying to go too quick to the well and do too much, where we've had too many interactions with individuals where they should have been limited and played out. We got that great first interaction with Judgment Day and Dominic, and that was seemingly it. That should have played out a little bit longer. Then go into something with The Miz. Then wait for a little bit until we finally get the R-Truth. So you build towards these things. So in that sense, yes, they have tried to just go to that cash cow and grab those seats and get every bit of milk and money out of that. Well, hey, they have done that, certainly. So
They've definitely made their human monies.
There is the fear that this well could dry up sooner than later. But hey, absolutely, this interaction here with the Miz and having his, I think we missed the credit here. Yes, Danhausen understands his character, knows how it works, should get it over. But the Miz has added so much to this thing. We've heard the stories about his tweaks because of where he comes from, what he has learned, his studies, his involvement in Hollywood to really get this thing over. Maurice as well, Kit adding to it. This is still gangbusters here to me. But yeah, I enjoyed this past Friday with it, even the setup for it, the Looney Tunes Acme backfire. So as we talk about pitching and grabbing advertisers, we got that Wile E. Coyote movie coming out. Why isn't that working with this? And as they try to capture Danhausen and then you go to the clips, show that in your commercial stuff to link those together. So in your mind, you should be working with your creative and how that's how you work your product and advertising into the show instead of just your run-of-the-mill commercials or a logo on the mat. That's how you incorporate those things. But now we're getting a little sympathy. We feel, and this is how it was always should have been for Danhausen. Why he needs to get in the ring is the bullies finally get the best of him. And like we have right now, who's going to step up to help him? And now we've got that mystery and that intrigue about, hey, to me, this is the draw for Backlash. This is my main event for Backlash. This is why I'm coming to the show.
Yep, 100%. We will talk about that and when we preview Backlash. I don't want to spoil it. Right now, if we were doing Rookie of the Year, it is a two-man race between Danhausen and Obafemi. Because Obafemi took a huge step back for me last night. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. But if this Obafemi Open Challenge is going to be full of Akira Tozawa and Otis's, we need to kill this thing as quickly as humanly possible because all we're going to do is discredit Obafemi and his win over Brock Lesnar. Like, we need to move into real competition, not Akira Tozawa and Otis.
I told you this last week. This was a huge mistake. This was a turnoff. This could potentially derail the Oba train.
Absolutely.
The movement. When you talk about who is the the MVP right now of these new additions to the WWE roster, it's hands down Danhausen. He was in the top 3 merch sales at WrestleMania, Jargo. Top 3. Dude didn't even have a match. Doesn't wrestle. Wasn't in a main event like Cody and Punk were. That's top dog, top dollar right there. But Obafemi, your true long-term future investment. That next guy to carry the company, that should be a big-time main eventer. Anytime you throw an open challenge out there, it is lowest common denominator booking. It is lazy. You have no direction, or you're afraid to commit in a direction, and you're going to fail this talent. And that's across the board with a lot of them. They're not doing things to make them stand out. So having Obafemi in there against run-of-the-mill, average Joes that we're used to seeing getting their butt kicked every week is going to do him absolutely zero favors. The only thing positive I can say about this is that it takes only 5 minutes curtain to curtain, as opposed to like the United States Open Challenge, which I had to waste like a half hour of my time on each and every week.
Let's talk about Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints made his debut on SmackDown this week.
Who?
Ricky Saints.
Oh, Ricky Ain't? Yeah. Crowd ain't reacting. Well, he ain't getting over, and this ain't hitting the mark.
And they should have known that coming into it. I mean, Ricky Saints, Ricky Starks, whatever you want to talk him, was not a huge star in AEW. He was not a huge star in NXT. He wasn't even there long enough to be a huge star in NXT. And immediately putting him opposite of Cody and losing pretty convincingly fairly quick did him absolutely no favors whatsoever. And it didn't help Cody either. I mean, what are we doing with Cody Rhodes? Because as soon as I saw Ricky and Cody together, I was like, oh God, This is the beginning of the Codyverse Part 2. This is the sequel to what happened in AEW, where Cody exists over here, and then there's the rest of the company over here. And Cody only works with his friends. Cody only works, these big epic style matches that are 20 minutes too long. I mean, what happened to the CM Punk thing with Cody? What happened to Randy Orton with Cody? And now we've got Gunther involved with Cody. What is the direction for Cody Rhodes at this point? Oh yeah, still the undisputed WWE champion. And I'm sorry, creative's got nothing for you. Really? That's what we're doing? We're going Codyverse?
I hate this with Ricky said to end this. This is kind of across the board here, but especially right here, a perfect example of creative not knowing, understanding their audience and how to really make a new star. When you heard the Revolution, I thought I had to make sure that my television was on mute. I couldn't believe how dead silent that arena was. And it shows, it absolutely shows, even if you've got your development on the CW, they're carrying their PLEs, you've got global distribution, only a small portion of your overall audience is following that brand. And those stars do not assume that everyone knows their backgrounds, who they are. I got the same thing when we get to Soul. It drives me. That's what I wanted to be. That's not the Thunder. That's going to be my head hitting the wall when it comes to how they're treating her there. But yeah, a complete miss here for this kid. And hey, welcome to the show, kid. Oh, if he goes out there with the champion, gets a little 50-50, he'll get over. Wrong. Went out there, lost. Went out there, ran his mouth, and lost. And which further doesn't make sense to me on this thing, you could have easily just had the match get thrown out where he doesn't have to take an L because you got Cody getting jumped immediately following the bell.
And I'm also very, do one of two things. Either enforce the brand split or kill it, because I'm tired of Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. One of them's on SmackDown, one of them's on Raw. Gunther and Cody Rhodes. One of them's on Raw, one of them's on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. One of them's on Raw, one of them's on SmackDown.
I like the floating individuals because it gives you a reason.
Then just kill the brand split. Kill the brand split. Give me the same group of stars. You can cut half the fucking roster right now. Just use the same roster for both shows.
If you want to save money.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need them. We don't need them. Plus, it's only 4 hours. I mean, SmackDown was already 3 hours. It's cutting back to 2. You get 2 to 2.5, depending on what kind of day of the week it is. I'm WWE creative coming out of WrestleMania every year is an absolute train wreck, which is why Backlash is my second least favorite pay-per-view of the year, number 1 being Survivor Series. If you want to know why, you'll have to keep watching until November. Let's talk about Javon Evans and Penta, both of which are kind of rookies. I think Penta's been around a little bit longer. He might be approaching a year at this point. I like the idea of pairing these two guys up together. I very much enjoy their dynamic.
I like to parallel how you bring them up together because I think that how the build here should be the same for Penta. He came in a mess, massively over, insanely popular, but it took that slow burn. We didn't see him really start picking up. He was in those big matches, taking those L's, slowly picking up momentum, picking up wins, and then he finally gets, right before WrestleMania, gets the Intercontinental Championship, and it's really paying it off here. I hope that's the same case with Javon. He's so athletic, he's so entertaining, so much fun to watch. He's a tremendous draw for young fans, speaks to that demographic, but he doesn't need too much too early. I think in this case, Javon, and being so young, has such a bright future. Don't try to give him too much too early. I'm perfectly fine with how they handled Penta, and hopefully it's a blueprint for how they handle Javon.
Let's talk about a couple guys that I actually think they are doing a fantastic job with right now. And Rick, it makes me so happy that I get to say this to you. It's Cinco de Mayo, but you know what else it is? It's Almost Rusev Day. Ethan Page is going to single-handedly save Rusev and bring back Rusev Day, because all Ethan Page does is get over. And last night, Rusev felt like a bigger star in a WWE context than he has since he rode a tank out against John Cena. All of a sudden, Rusev he seemed like a legitimate WWE superstar again, instead of just, the grumpy old man that everybody beats up. I very much enjoy this dynamic. I hope they keep these two guys together for a very long time. I want to see Rusev just keep kind of chumming up to Ethan Page, keep chumming up to him, and Ethan Page just trying to placate Rusev so Rusev doesn't get mad and crush him. I love this dynamic.
I absolutely love it. I told you last week, I love the potential in this pairing exactly for the resurrection of Rusev. You could even tell there was kind of like a new glow about him last night, knowing that maybe he finally, since his return, he has a direction. He's got somebody that he can play off of here and they can move forward. I loved him in tag action last night. I love that Ethan Page was actually able to get old school heel heat just by breaking up and stealing big pop moments from the audience. Simply just shaking the rope to knock Javon Evans off of the top rope, going for that big table spot. Using the apron to trip up Penta when they needed a big tag to change the momentum in the match. So taking away those moments, those are the simple acts that a true heel knows to implement to get that heat. And then at the end of it, he's not in there hitting his finisher on these guys kicking out 10 times. He's missed his finisher 4 or 5 times, but then with the big distraction, how those two played off each other. Rusev hit the spot out there on the table for distraction on Penta. He gets the pin on the champ. I know these guys are involved in the Intercontinental title picture right now. I'd love to see them that next
Ethan
step.
Page is winning that title. Ethan Page is taking that title.
I'm okay. Because I don't want any kind of back and forth between those guys. Should it be Rusev that has it? I don't want any, but it's ego tug of war between those two. Hey, I'm okay. Let's keep it on Penta, move in a different direction on this, move those guys into the tag division.
Oh yeah, I like that too. I'm very torn about Joe Hendry because I think Joe Hendry is doing a fantastic job. That damn Logan Paul song was actually stuck in my head last night. I'm walking around the house singing, "Can we fire Logan Paul?" But as good of a job as Joe Hendry is doing, at one point I sat there last night and I went, oh my God, this guy's going to get over. I can't believe Joe Hendry is going to get over in a WWE context. I could see it coming, but then he received the death blow. When Mitchell Cole says, this song is so catchy, I was singing it in the shower this morning. It's immediately not cool anymore. Like, that is a great way to bury a talent by having Mitchell Cole put him over. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. And it's not even Joe Hendry's fault.
This entire thing with him, I will admit, I was wary of how it was going to get over. This isn't against Joe Hendry. The guy has gotten over everywhere he goes, and it's one of those head scratchers for me. I don't actually get it. It seems like he has some kind of he has trouble finding chemistry with people in the ring. His look is a little bit off and different. But we look at what truly worked. When he really burst on the scene, people started talking about it. It was because the viral thing when he was at iTunes, when he went like #1 in Europe and all that. I would have liked to seen a little more of that when he came to the main roster. Let us know that he is first and foremost an entertainer before getting in and mixing it up so quick. I would have loved to seen local, even if it's a special attraction to get people to buy tickets in there, where he's doing local concerts each week at the towns, highlight a little bit of those, not full blown segments, but clips on each show like that, build up to his biggest concert ever at SummerSlam or something like that. Something to make him feel like a bigger deal than he is right now. I got truthful. I mean, there is no denying the popularity. I mean, it had those buildings rocking the first week, even last night in a makeshift kind of quick concert that he gave.
The one that really got me was when he came out and it gets to that part, where you wave your hands from side to side and stuff. I'm just looking at the crowd. They were all into it. That's the new Yeet.
But they love that crowd involvement like that. They absolutely love that. Where does it get you in the ring? We saw how quick, that kind of faded for Jay on that level. But how they've got Joe Hendry involved in this between the Vision and the Prophets, he's like some kind of weird, unnecessarily wheel.
I do think the Logan Paul is so good. Like, you talk about a guy who knows how to get heel heat. That guy is a heat magnet, and putting him opposite of Joe Hendry might be the smartest decision that WWE Creative has made in a year.
Absolutely. They need to Logan Paul away from this mid part and get him into a main event scene.
Absolutely. One guy that I don't even know how to grade because they just don't do anything with him is Royce Keys. How you feeling about Powerhouse Hobbs in a WWE context?
A head scratcher, kind of goes MIA after the Rumble, comes back. A weird debut just before WrestleMania in his hometown, but wins Andre the Giant Battle Memorial. To me right now, there was something that happened on SmackDown that actually has me excited to have found a direction and a purpose for Royce Keys. And it came with a very just seemingly innocent interaction with Jacob Fatu to tell their circle. Now we've got some characters going, some wheels turning, some interaction. Again, with a lot of these call-ups, these additions, we need purpose. We need direction. I could get very excited right now with a program with Royce Keys squaring off against Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga. You've got, it's an issue a little bit to find heels to stack up to these powerhouse babies, if you will. So now you've got a numbers game. You've got a tall, menacing monster in Tala, and you've got a manipulative slime ball in Solo. So that's a great obstacle mountain to overcome. I would like to see that as a undercard, mid-card program on SmackDown going forward. It gives him direction. It gives him purpose instead of just going out there in these squash matches.
Another guy to bring up in the contention for Rookie of the Year has got to be Trick Williams. I think Trick Williams is absolutely killing it. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about him and Sammy when we get to the Backlash preview. Blake Monroe debuts this week, I believe it is. We had the vignette last week, but she hasn't actually been on the show yet, correct?
Yeah, I thought like that SmackDown was so bad, I just completely zoned out and missed it because they were advertising her debut this week. But yet we just get a video package. Another lame, does nothing to promote a talent video package. We for years have applauded, hat tipped. Thank you, WWE, for your amazing production values. These promo packages that can take months worth of bad television and make a match hyped up look. Damn, this is must see. They have done masterful with that. What we've been getting here lately is absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. And I was looking for. I'm a Moreau maniac. I can't get enough of her. I like outside of just being the blonde bombshell that she is. I think she's an incredible talent. She's great. I don't know, man. It's that accent too. I can just listen to her talk all day.
Well,
right, Pop?
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's a real bitch. Let you figure out if we're talking about Millie or Blake Monroe. But she's a fantastic character, and I really, really hope that they do much better by her than they have on our next set of talents here, which is Fatal Influence. So JC Jane's debut on the main roster, she loses to Rhea Ripley. And now
by disqualification, she didn't get put down. It introduces her crew and showing, hey, we're coming as a unit to take down everybody. I think of all of these recent call-ups, somebody likes these girls because they're getting the most push out of these recent ones.
Agreed. But so she faces off with Rhea Ripley on week 1. She faces off with Charlotte Flair on week 2. I thought she looked much better on week 1 than she did on week 2. And that could just be a chemistry thing between JC Jane and Charlotte Flair. But now it looks like we're going to get a 6-woman tag with Rhea and Charlexa versus Fatal Influence. And I don't think Fatal Influence is going to win this feud. I genuinely don't think they're going to win this feud. And then I wonder, okay, so now where do they fall into the hierarchy once this feud is over?
I think this case, there was a lot of concern with me when they brought this group up. And a lot of people are saying, oh, JC's going to come up on her own. I thought she needed the group. I thought it was a smart choice to bring them together.
It seems so obvious that the other two were ready to turn on JC Jane and NXT. And now that they're on SmackDown, all is forgiven.
Hey, I've elevated, when high tide, all ships rise. We're all going together. We got to regroup here. Let's get refocused on what we've been doing as a mission, but let's go to a greener pasture, a bigger pond, and see what kind of waves we can make in it. And they've got tossed right in there. I think this is, hey girls, you got like 6 months to see what you got here. We're going to see if you're going to fly high or if you're going to drown. That's the case. You talk about week 1, she goes in there, takes a DQ loss to Ripley. I think that's a good showing there. She's not put down like Ricky Starks, who just, let's give him a rub against the champ. Also, Week 1, they fire up that program, that feud with Charlotte and Bliss, 2 big timers. They got the Hall of Fame tag team champs that they have had a rub with here. So if they're mixing it up with big names in that division, I'm going to go the opposite of you. This 6-lady match happens probably maybe this week, maybe the next week. We're going to get it.
It'll be Friday.
I'm guessing this week. They might do something to build towards stretch it out if they're trying to really heat up for Backlash. I think those girls get the win in that case.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see.
But when you shoot high like that, what we're talking about earlier, when you shoot high, you better have some plans after that if you're going to get a win. Like, can JC go take this belt from Ripley to give her the time off that people have been talking about?
Otherwise, you become Obafemi, and you're facing off with Akira Tozawa and Otis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we haven't seen them start hot and drop the ball.
Now, this is our last one. This is the one that gets me hot that I think they have completely dropped. This is
yes.
What defines is the shining example of how clueless this creative is to their audience.
So when we are having this conversation 6 months from now, and we're sitting down, we're talking about who is in contention for the HTM Rookie of the Year in WWE, one of the names that I expect to be mentioned is Sol Ruca. I am that high on Sol Ruca as a talent. And they immediately seemingly are putting her against Becky Lynch into the Intercontinental Championship picture, which I'm fine with, but not the way that they did it last night. That was terrible. That entire segment was terrible.
Back to her debut. They bring her out. They set the stage. They show Paige. We remember her grand debut, her call up, taking a championship. They show Paige sitting right there. Then they bring the champ out to the ring. Then they bring Sol out, and they have a meaningless match that goes way too long. Sol, I think was it? She got the DQ win or something, right? I can't remember. So. That's how meaningless it was.
Yeah, but that's how unimportant it was.
Then she misses last week because they have her taking a stupid ass table spot because she got stitches in the back of her head and she's unable to show up and compete in some capacity. So what do? They give us a video package, a 2-minute video package that is a floor routine and a Soul Snatcher highlight thing. No reason to connect with the character. No background on her. Last night, I will put over Michael Cole and Corey Graves because for the amount of time it took her to walk to the ring, they put it over. It's amazing. Only 4 years, part of our next in line nil program. She went from a gymnast to potentially being the next biggest thing in our women. That tells me about her, where she comes from. They talk about her free spirit, that's kind of surf life energy that she brings. That is what we should have been telling in showcasing in these vignettes. We don't have any of that. We know nothing about her. Who the hell wrote her promo last night? That was god awful. I know the internet's
terrible promo.
I know the internet is talking about the botch spot on the soul catcher, but further, I'll whoop your ass and then I'll snatch your soul. What?
Yeah, what are you, the fucking Undertaker?
That was the most cringe thing that I have heard on that program in a long time. And believe me, you know how amazing it is when you win the prize for the most cringe delivered line?
Especially when you're out there with Becky Lynch, who is notorious for the most cringe line.
Yes. God, that entire segment was bad. And then the mishap with the punch. Oh my God, it was just bad.
Well, and I have said the Soul Snatcher is one of the coolest professional wrestling moves I've ever seen when she lands it clean. I have seen far too many times that she does not land it clean. And last night was a perfect example of the fear of that move. When something goes even just a little bit wrong, it looks like shit. Very, very concerned for Sol Ruca right now. Did we forget anybody, Huckleberry? Like when I was going through this list, I felt like there was one more and I could not for the life of me think of who it was. That tells you how great they're doing.
Well, we had recent ones. I guess real quick, we're going to throw it out there. A new addition to the roster still at NXT, cutting their teeth, making the adjustment, but looks like Evil has a new name.
Naraku, which is, the name is fine, but they're still referring to him as a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, which is weird. But it's better than Evil, which I always thought was the worst name in the history of professional wrestling, especially when you try to turn him babyface, which they did in New Japan. And it's like, you expect the fans to sit there and cheer and chant for Evil? What the hell is wrong with you? Just a terrible, terrible idea. Terrible idea. But at least he looks cool. At least he looks cool. Let's talk a little bit of Backlash coming up this weekend. Only 5 matches. That's all that's been announced. 5 matches.
I think that's probably the card. Maybe add another
That's
one
an
there.
AEW pre-show. 5 matches.
I'm fine with that. I am fine with this. I am fine with 5 matches. I think 5 to 6 is the thing. Get me out at 2.5, 3 hours. Yep. I'm okay with pre-shows not having matches. Yeah, I think it's stupid to stack match after match on a pre-show. It defeats the purpose of a pre-show.
Speaking of defeating the purpose, correct me if I'm wrong here, and maybe I'm mistaken. Didn't we just have a year-long retirement tour for John Cena, and everybody cried and everybody got emotional and he kissed the WWE universe goodbye, and then he came back and he hosted WrestleMania, and I was like, that's okay. Yeah, I get that. It's WrestleMania. Got to have John Cena around. And now here we are 3 weeks later, and John Cena is going to be there again already. For what? We don't know. You got to tune in to find out.
A game-changing blockbuster announcement. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for $10 million human monies, you can get the Elite Club WWE, I guess. That's what I'm guessing it's to be something pertaining to that.
Oh, see, I thought you were going somewhere else. I thought you were going to say for 10 million human monies, you could get John Cena to be your tag team partner to take on The Miz and Kit Wilson if you are Danhausen. How about that? That's one of the ideas that I like, that we get John Cena coming back out of retirement after being retired for 2 months so that he can be Danhausen's tag team partner to take down his arch nemesis, The Miz, the man who beat him at WrestleMania to claim the WWE Championship. All the history is there that we can pull from. What do you think, Huckleberry? I don't hate this idea, but I certainly don't love it.
I don't think John's going to step back into the ring this soon. I think he wants to stick to that. A lot of rumors there. Hey, they realize that they don't have the draw. They don't have the star power. They're taking hits because they're cutting people left and right here. They're hoping that they go back to what they know, that the GOAT can produce some views, produce some interest in this thing. But I think this is going to be kind of a backfire, a waste. Unless John's in Tampa hanging out already, got something going on, a real quick stop by. I haven't heard, and even from a general audience, it's like, oh, Cena, and even the hype that he might be Danhausen's mystery opponent. I think that would be a disappointment when there's some other really fun options out there.
So let's throw out a couple of these options. How about Pepsi Phil? Could you see Pepsi Phil being Danhausen's partner to take on The Miz and Kit Wilson?
I know our chat right now where we've got some Pepsi Phils out there, and maybe that helps bridge the explanation of CM Punk going to SmackDown. I don't think that's a lot of fun in there. We've seen him. I think, again, it's Danhausen. We're used to stepping outside of the box. We're used to having fun with this thing here. I think another big front runner, I believe he's over on NXT this evening. They did a little teaser on social media when Danhausen was kind of standing in the back, and a little iguana popped out through the curtain and spooked him a little bit. Maybe Mr. Iguana.
God. No, we do not need an Iguanahausen. No Iguanahausen. I don't want that. I don't want that. Some of the other names that I have heard thrown out over the course of this week, and then we'll actually get to the one that I genuinely like and am hoping for. How about Stardusthausen?
We got that.
Cody ain't got nothing going on.
Corey, if he doesn't have anything going on, can he make that return there? Could he put the ego aside to step back into that persona? What would that do for the current standing for the WWE champion?
Well, what the hell else is he doing?
I've had this conversation a couple times. The chat throwing out some great names over the Monday locker room, some ones that really popped me. We're talking about the beyond being maybe a little magical, if you will, the face paint. How about Papa Shango?
Ooh, I do like that one. What if we can do the demon to demon connection, and you end up with a Demonhausen?
I like that. That could be a potential. Kind of weird with how Finn's personality is right now, but that's potential. What about Kit in the toxic masculinity? What would it do for him if he had to eat a mouthful of worms? What if it was Boogeyman?
I like Boogeyman. That's a good one. I also thought about the Kit Wilson and the toxic masculinity angle. What if we end up with Mommyhausen? Have Rhea be Danhausen's partner and put down Kit Wilson and pin him, with the traditional mommy pin. I think that one could be fun. That one could be fun.
Frank saying over there, Oberhausen.
Okay, now that you brought it up, this is the one that I want to see. I need Oberhausen, and this works for me on so many different angles, and I think this could actually help Obafemi. Obafemi sticking up for the nerdy little Victorian goth theater child because he doesn't like bullies. That makes complete logical sense to me, to have Oba come out, destroy the Miz, destroy Kit Wilson, and then step aside and let Danhausen make the pin. I think this makes the absolute most sense to me. Give me Oberhausen.
You know what? I think we are fixating. We're looking at who that mystery partner will be. Can we go a little bigger picture, some long-term storytelling? Could Danhausen's team lose from interference from Stephen A. Smith?
Oh, that could be fun. That could be fun. Who do you want? Who is your pick?
I like Papa Shango or the Boogeyman.
Papa Shango would work. I think Papa Shango would work.
And I love, people were asking, can he still go? Well, let's not forget, about 6 months ago, he went in there and kicked Ben's ass at 2CW.
And he doesn't have to go. He doesn't have to. You could do a double curse with Papa Shango and Danhausen, and the Miz and Kit Wilson just fall over dead.
Oh, I will throw it out there.
Absolutely do that.
There was some speculation I saw pop up just before we went live here this evening that maybe that the surprise was spoiled as Michael Cole was doing some extra social media work for Monday Night Raw, and they were running down, hey, coming up at Backlash, be prepared for this. He's got some inside scoop that Danhausen's partner really, really loves money. I mean, hell, we all love money, and everybody right now is fearing for all their money in WWE. But when it comes to money, money, could it be Shane McMahon?
I mean, future WWE Hall of Famer Shane McMahon.
That is what Rad's saying. We got the rumor out there that Stephen A. Smith might be working some kind of program this summer with WWE. We've got the curse. We've got the back and forth.
That only works if the Knicks don't win.
Well, he's come out. He's removed the curse from the Knicks.
Yeah, but still, like, you just collateral damage, right? You can remove the curse from the Knicks, but if Stephen A is still cursed, like, the Knicks could even make it to the finals as long as they lose in the finals. You could still pull that off because they're just too close to Stephen A. Smith, and the bad juju wore off.
No. As Ray will testify, I have the reel on my socials on YouTube that everyone knows that Stephen A. Smith is not a real New York Knicks fan, and real Knicks fans detest Stephen A. Smith, as Big Ray put.
Well, I think everybody detests Stephen A. Smith. It just happens that, most of the world also detests Knicks fans. Shout out to Big Ray Hernandez.
I'd be surprised. I know you're going to get to this one here, maybe a little transition to it. If you're going to have Stephen A. Smith there, you've got to get him involved hour one now, because they're going to be airing on ESPN2.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to do Stephen A. Smith, you save that until you can also get Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton and make it a celebrity tag match.
What about Hallihausen?
Hallihausen. Ooh, I do like that. Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker is going to kick off Backlash live on ESPN2. As I have watched this program play out, I still just sit and scratch my head and go, Why did we do Gunther versus Rollins at WrestleMania? Why wasn't this the WrestleMania program? I don't get it, but whatever. This will probably be the best match of the show.
No, I think what it was, they didn't want to rush this thing. They want to get into this build. I had some thoughts on this. Jimmy and I were going back and forth. He thinks Rollins gets the win. I think that is the absolute worst possible scenario. Right now, you're telling a story of Seth Rollins, the guy who is the ultimate manipulator, the architect who always has an ace up his sleeve, that has some goons doing his bidding. That has been his MO his entire career with it. Now you have to try to get sympathy on Seth Rollins from an audience. It is stand alone, so he needs to be broken down. Put intended there with Breaker. Hey, you go back to this past week. Braun is destroying everything in his path, but as he's taking out Rollins, they're chanting again, one more time, one more time. They're chanting for that violence. You need to get these fans in favor somehow of Seth Rollins. You continue on with this babyface run with him. I think Seth Rollins needs to take a decisive defeat. Braun should put him down. I was kind of talking about that maybe this match is over in 2 to 5 minutes. Then I realized, hey, this is going to be on ESPN2. So I think you need more of a showcase. I'm expecting this to go longer, 15, 20. But at the end of that match, it needs to be Braun Breaker breaking Seth Rollins, going over big time.
Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm with Jimmy T. I'm going with Seth Rollins for the win here.
That's how I know I'm right every week when you agree with Jimmy T.
Yeah, that is also true. The reason I am going with Seth Rollins here is it clearly seems to me that the story that's being told is Breaker is not ready. So you can have Breaker absolutely 100%. I would have him dominate this match, and Rollins pulls it out at the end. That's but
completely wrong move for bringing him fresh back out of here. What sells him is being a badass killer athlete. Speaking of this, going to this week, what are they cheering for?
You're missing the most important point here. They're not going to do Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns anytime soon. They're clearly going to do Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That's what the whole start of the show was last night. You can't have Rollins get squashed by Braun Breaker and then move on to Roman Reigns.
No, you continue it. You're going to have Braun enjoying this, where Seth keeps getting up and fighting back up, now having to do it on his own, where he doesn't have any goons. He doesn't have people surrounded. That's the story with the prophets continuing to come up to him and telling him, you don't get it. It's to the breaking point. No pun intended. No one trusts you. No one likes you. That is the new coming of age, building a new hero, getting sympathy on Seth Rollins. I think that's the story they're going with. I don't think this is a blow-off match. This is going to continue with Seth and division. But speaking of division,
that's the part I disagree with, because I think they are clearly moving to Rollins versus Roman after.
I just think that was a little teaser to pop us there at the beginning. Ooh,
yeah, it was a teaser for SummerSlam is what it was a teaser for.
I have to revisit that one. I don't think that's the direction they're going here. But hey, with division,
who is Roman Reigns' opponent at SummerSlam if it's not Seth Rollins and it's not Obafemi?
Well, now you're taking out it should be Obafemi.
Yeah, but Roman has already said, like, we're not even approaching that subject until next year.
He says things. That's fine. That's great. But you have got to get a direction. You have got a supernova. You cannot do some useless open challenge shit, or we're going to be tired of Obafemi by SummerSlam. You've got to go in that direction. Or we get whatever finish we get this Saturday, and then they dismiss Fatu. Say, you had your shot, kid. Even if it's hook or crook, no matter what goes down with it, he doesn't win. It's back of the line, or get in line with the bloodline with him. And how about this? They did make mention with the devastating, not the most dangerous move in wrestling, but the most dangerous move that's ever existed, the Tongan Death Grip. Jacob Fatu using because his uncle Haku. How about this? King Haku. How about King Fatu? How about Fatu gets back into that title picture after being dismissed by winning a King of a Ring and getting another opportunity at SummerSlam?
I was curious, so I was looking up because Labrat said in the chat, I hope not. I don't want another Seth versus Roman match. I'm tired of it. Can you believe that match hasn't happened in almost 4 years? They have not wrestled each other since 2022.
Okay. Well, perception is there because I think there's a lot of people that feel like Lab Rat there. I don't think it's.
I'm genuinely shocked by that they have not wrestled.
That is actually an interesting stat that they've kept them away that long. Well, they just kept them on the separate brands, and Roman rarely shows up. Each
there is
kind of designated to carry a brand. I could
Roman
see
rarely shows up. Seth's always hurt. Like, when would they have wrestled each other?
Right.
Terrible person. Yeah, I'm with you, Lab Rat. Wow. Yeah, I'm a little shocked by that too. Another match that should have happened at WrestleMania that we saved until Backlash, Io Sky versus Asuka. We are hearing that there could be a potential Kairi Sane appearance here to basically write her off the show properly, which would be nice. I'm just ready for this program to be over because I am tired of revisionist history. I am tired of WWE bullshit. Like, Asuka was never a senpai to Io Sky. They did not wrestle until they got to the WWE proper, like not even at NXT, WWE proper. Like this entire story for somebody who has followed the careers of Kana and Io Shirai is just absolutely maddening because it's just not true. And
you actually remembering Asuka's name pre-WWE. Look at that.
Oh, I love me some Kana. She was amazing.
Hey, I liked the segment on Monday. I love when they let them kind of just go off in their native tongue. It was very Lucha
Underground, wasn't it?
I just like the passion, the energy when they can really express in their native tongue, how they feel to put things over there. I like the message. Still, I blame you, the student, and then, hey, this isn't me. I realize that I'm tired of being held down from you. I'm breaking out. I'm ready for Asuka. Then the missing. The only thing that would have made it better for me if they held that face to face in apartment 6A for apartment wrestling over in Japan, a little homage to what made them popular and what you guys love so much over there. Hey, this interesting conversation that I picked up on over, I can't remember which chat group it was.
Match.
Could this be, maybe we don't see Asuka for a while after this?
I mean, maybe. I mean, that women's roster is so loaded, and God knows that she could use some time off. She has been going very hard for a very long time. I mean, she is just an absolute staple of WWE television. But it would be sad because I feel like she has really come into this character. That she is doing
so good across the board.
Clown thing.
So good across the board. I would put her in my all-time top 5 female performers.
She's incredible. She's absolutely.
But you got to believe, like you said, she's been with the company so long. She's probably getting a hefty pay thing. So she might very well be one of those they're trying to renegotiate with.
Yeah, absolutely. Trick Williams versus the Gingerbread Man, which
rest in peace.
It's amazing. I love it. R.I.P. Gingerbread Man, and R.I.P. Sami Zayn after this.
I think universally that we all can agree on that one. We hope this just kind of puts this one to rest, and we move on, especially for Trick.
So I do. This is kind of what I think is going to happen here. We did see a message, and the Twitter account is becoming active once again from Fight Owens Fight. Kevin Owens is teasing a return, especially with a bunch of events coming to Canada. If you want to turn Sami Zayn babyface again, which obviously this heel turn was not planned. It was just that Trick Williams got over and people really, really liked Trick Williams, so they started booing Sami Zayn. You immediately bring back Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn immediately turns babyface with his best friend Kevin Owens, and you're off and running with Kevin Owens versus Trick Williams. Because I'm absolutely 1,000,000% here for that. You can even do a tag match with Trick and Little Yachty versus Sammy and Kevin. I'm fully on board. If that is the plan and that's where we're going, I feel bad for Carmelo Hayes, who has not been seen since he lost the U.S. title. But if the Kevin Owens thing is the reason that we put the title on Sammy to bring KO back, then I'm absolutely here for it.
Be kind of interesting. I would kind of prefer to see Trick completely move away from any situation with Sammy. But ultimately, what a great program that would be, and a great rub to get involved with Kevin Owens and his resume. How good he is inside
the promos would be
the ring. those are going to be a lot of fun. But Kevin's going to come back to an incredible ovation. Fans are going to rally behind him. Do you want to split an audience against Trick right now?
Well, I think the thing is they're not ready for that Trick Williams babyface turn. Like, they keep kind of flirting with it a little bit, but
I think the thing is you can't make him die. You can't make him Rocky Maivia. You still got to let him have his swag. You still got to let him be his personality, but just let the people cheer for it. So
yeah, this is one of those instances where the way the fans feel about the talent and the way that the talent is being written and produced just do not align. Like, Trick Williams is still a heel as far as the narrative goes, but the fans are like, fuck your narrative. We like Trick Williams.
Right now with Trick Williams, like a perfect opponent for him right now to carry something through the summer while you really figure out who he is and how it can relate with your creative end. And the audience would have been someone like a Drew McIntyre. That no matter how much respect or love him, can go out there and generate heat and get those boos from him. You need somebody like that. You don't want to split an audience with Trick right now.
Well, I mean, if you bring back, so Lab Rat's saying, the crowd loves Trick. He's a face in the eyes of the crowd. So you can use Kevin Owens as that vessel. You can absolutely bring back Kevin Owens. You get the tag match between Trick and Little Yachty versus Sammy and Kevin, like always happens. I mean, how many times have we seen Kevin Owens turn on Sami Zayn? Trick Williams makes the save for Sami Zayn. Trick Williams has his moment of revelation and his big turn, and KO is on the heel side of the roster where he really should be, where he belongs, because he's a great heel.
We talk about how good. I talk about how good Drew is there. I believe KO is that good as well. He's going to come back with that huge pop, but he could get them turned on him within a week or two.
Like that. Absolutely.
Speaking of that, though, in this match, I want this highlight.
And it would also put the sympathy back on Sammy to get him back on the babyface side of the road.
No. Keep Sammy heel. I want those two together heel.
Oh, God.
Let them stick heel together.
Insufferable.
Let them two stick heel, throwing major obstacles in the way of Trick Williams, and let him keep doing his thing the way he rolls.
Owenshausen? Could we see that this weekend?
Well, that could be a pop. I think, Kevin's so great as heel, and I think he's so good at his job. He can generate that heat. He can get people to hate him.
I could actually see that, because I could see KO being like, I don't get it, and I don't like you, but my son Owen thinks you're great, so I'll do this for him. Like, I could absolutely 1,000,000% see that. Lab Rat's on the same page with me. Yeah, do it for the kids. Yeah, I could totally see that.
And then afterwards, KO turns on him and gets his heat.
Of course, because it's Kevin Owens and all he does.
The only payoff I absolutely want in this Trick and Sammy matches. Afterwards, I want Little Yachty to get in there and a little shout, a little RIP up in gingerbread heaven, up in the sky there, and pour out one for his homie, a little ginger ale. Pour it out in the middle of the ring for the gingerbread man.
I like it. Maybe even an L8. Well, only those of us in the Midwest, will know what that means. So one more match to talk about on the card: Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu. Obviously, Roman Reigns is winning this match. I have absolutely no question about that.
But how?
The most interesting part of this entire thing for me is the Tongan death grip. And the fact that they actually put over King Haku, that they mentioned that Jacob Fatu is the nephew of King Haku, which is another one of those Samoan bloodline, like we're not actually related, but I still call you nephew kind of situations. I like this. I think this program has been great. I'm not sure that this program has been great for Jacob Fatu. I think this program has been good to elevate him so that people look at him like a main event player. But as far as the creative direction goes...
Why? Why, Jargo? Why?
He has not come across as likable to me.
Jacob Fatu
had so much babyface energy, and it's like they're trying to cool that off a little bit. Like, this is the gold watch. You have been great. We appreciate everything that you've done for us. But like, even the disconnect where I need this for my family, right? I need everything the tribal chief has got. I need the shoe deals. I need the cars. I need all this. And so he comes out last night and he's wearing a brand new set of Nikes. He's dressed to the nines. He's got a big fat gold chain. He's wearing a Rolex. He's got a new tattoo sleeve going on. And it was like, oh yeah, you're really hurting, Jacob. You really need this because, you're not providing for your family at all. Maybe you should just stop mismanaging your money and spending it on, like $50,000 gold chains. Maybe you could have fed your 7 kids for a couple of weeks.
If that's a keen eye to pick up on those subtle little things there, he should be dressing down a little bit, looking like, hey, I need to game up here. I want them shoes.
Right, like I'm doing this for my family. Oh, but I just got a new $5,000 tattoo.
There's a little bit of a difference though in who that message is maybe intended for, who it's coming from, because it's not probably intended for, as I look at us, it's pretty pale looking show here from the Midwest, an Iowa boy, an Ohio boy. So when we do things, we're told to do things, anything to achieve success for our family. It's chop wood, carry water. It's gonna put your ass to work. For Jacob Fatu, someone that did time in the joint where you do anything to survive, to get ahead, you will do anything. When you come from the streets, that kind of lifestyle, you do have those certain things, but you might be missing somewhere else. I mean, that is that mentality, that mindset. I kept asking that too. Is this really a babyface? This is a message that you want people to be rallying behind. Right. My intrigue here though is, and you really look at Romans where he's kind of countering, saying you're worried about 5 people. I'm worried about 175. I want to take care of the whole community, all of us here. So, but that opening segment last night, which I think is going to be interesting, is the crowd reaction in Tampa. That opens last night with OTC. Mm-hmm. Oh, at the end of it, it's Fatu. And that's a whole arena at the end. That closing Raw last night, Fatu. That might have been a reaction to violence, which I think is another interesting, which is a draw here for this match. Jacob's motto is all gas, no brakes. Roman Reigns likes to work a very slow, maniacally paced storytelling, work the audience. How's the Ancient going to put this together? And you got to believe Paul Heyman's got his hands all over this thing. How they put this match together, I think is going to be really interesting.
It's so disconnected for me between the Fatu presentation. You start bringing back the bloodline, which was a heel gimmick, but now we're cheering it all the way down to the music and the story that we're telling versus the optics of what's going on. And it feels very, very, it's just a convoluted mess to me.
Hold on. I like this one right here. Fatu is talking to Raider Nation, not your cheesehead Packer ass over there, Jargo.
Well, yeah, which is fair, but it's just felt very disconnected. That's all I'm saying. So that's going to wrap things up for this week's show. Thanks for watching and or listening. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and then download the show. Just search Hitting the Marks on your favorite podcast listening device. Do not keep up with me because chances are I am far too busy and I don't want to talk to you. I've written like 6 philosophy papers this week. I've written a microeconomics paper this week. I still have an accounting paper to do this week. And then I'm doing NBA games and I'm doing NHL games and I'm doing baseball games. And I'm exhausted, Rick. And I say that not because I want your sympathy, but just because I want you to know the video this week is not that good. Like the song's cool and the video concept is cool, but I did not have time to edit it the way that I normally do the videos because I am just swamped right now.
Well, Stan Housley would say next week we need a 4 zillion word report on the philosophies of professional wrestling.
Oh, the philosophies of professional wrestling. I mean, when I say philosophy papers, I'm like, contrast, the theoretical style between Plato and Socrates compared to Aristotle. And I'm like, who gives a shit? The guy
if Plato is Vince McMahon, and Aristotle's is Eric Bischoff, please draw the parallels in their philosophy.
Right. Anything you want to plug, promote, put over before we get out of here?
Cinco de Mayo, baby. Go hit them late night tacos and margaritas. Let's get the hell out of here.
And make sure that you hit up the vet at Opinion Haver. He loves to talk to pro wrestling fans.
Tell him how much you love JCJ.
Yes, we will see you next Tuesday for a new edition of Hitting the Marks. For now, we're off like a prom dress. See ya.
Turn the heat up, baby. brought the sun with me. Turn the heat up, baby. I brought the sun with me. Salt in my hair and a spark in my grin. Sun-kissed triple rep and cinnamon skin. You feel the burn when I'm walking in. A little bit of salt and a whole lot of sin. Boardwalk guys all follow my sway. Me, a bikini and a smile that slays. You want a taste that I learn to play. I'm a heat wave hitting your perfect day. Come closer, babe. Don't lose control. One touch and I light up your soul. You want the truth? Here's how it goes. I'm the sunshine nobody owns. Just a little bit of salt. I'm burning through your clothes. A kiss that overloads. A heat you can't control. Yeah, I'm out of your league, but you still lose your cool. Just a little bit of soul, and I'm melting all your rules. Heat wave, ride it out. You can't handle my drought. Turn it up, feel the roll. I'm the sun that takes your soul. Catch me if you dare. I'm the fire in the air. One hit, lose control. Just a little bit, oh so. Beachside queen with a dangerous glow. I break your heart and you thank me though. You chase the tide everywhere I go. I'm the summer storm, you'll never know. Flip-flop steps and a wicked grin. I reel you out, then pull you in. You want the ride, let's begin. I'm the sunburn under your skin. Come closer, babe. Don't lose control. One touch and I light up your soul. You want the truth? Here's how it goes. I'm the sunshine nobody owns. Just a little bit of soul. I'm burning through your clothes. A kiss that overloads. A heat you can't control. Yeah, I'm out of your league, but you still lose your cool. Just a little bit of soul, and I'm melting all your rules. You want the shade? Too bad, sweetheart. I am the weather. I'll warm you up. I'll break you down. I'll spin your world around and round. You want the heat? Then take the toll. I'm the sunshine in your soul. Just a little bit of soul. I'm burning through your clothes. A kiss that overloads. A heat you can't control. Yeah, I'm out of your league, but you still lose your cool. Just a little bit of soul, and I'm melting all your rules. I'm burning through your clothes. A kiss that overloads. A heat you can't control. Yeah, I'm out of your league, but you still lose your cool. Just a little bit of soul, and I'm melting all your rules. Careful, baby. Too much sun'll ruin you. Just a little bit of soul. I'm burning through your clothes. Just a little bit of soul. I'm burning through your clothes. A heat you can't control. Oh yeah, I'm out of your league, but you still lose your cool. Just a little bit of soul, and I'm melting all your rules.